All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Karen Masullo, and I'm going to present for you today the second webinar in our 2018 Crisis Coach series. Today we're going to talk about predictive insights, looking for clues in advance of a crisis. Before we get started, I'll just do some maintenance issues. If you have a question or comment during today's session, you can use the GoToWebinar toolbar on the right side of your screen. There's a chat function there, and the effervescent Bill Baker is on the other end as our moderator, and he can let me know if there are questions or comments that are pertinent to our discussion. Additionally, in the GoToWebinar area, there is a section called Handouts. And you will see under Handouts it says 2 of 5. Those are handouts for you that you can download as PDFs. One is an infographic and one is an information sheet on today's subject. And you can share those internally with others in your school or organization. I want to thank you so much for taking time today to visit with us. I know you're have an extremely busy schedule, and we do appreciate your, in light of recent events, the seriousness with which you take educating yourself so you might keep your students, your faculty, and your community safer. Please don't hesitate to connect with us via social media. On Twitter at Firestorm Sol, on Facebook at Firestorm Solutions, on YouTube we are Continuity Experts, and on LinkedIn Firestorm Solutions. And the hashtag for any social interaction is always #CrisisCoach. We'll see that and respond to you as quickly as possible. Our attorneys would like us to always tell you this little note, in that this exercise is not complete, or exercise or webinar is not complete without accompanying oral comments and discussion. Any work product provided by Firestorm must be read in conjunction with all guidance given by national, regional, and local authorities, as well as your organization's personal counsel. Moreover, the information given and comments made in this webinar should not be interpreted as legal advice or legal opinion. You know us, we're Firestorm, and we help you transform crisis into value. We empower you to manage crisis and risk. And I'd like to talk a little bit about our sponsoring organization today. RenWeb, a fax company, has been a good partner of Firestorm's for a very long time. So if you are a school who is listening and you are a RenWeb customer, thank you again for joining. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what that means to you to be on this session that is underwritten by RenWeb. Firestorm understands that every crisis is a human crisis. And today we're going to approach our subject in a little bit of a different way. We're going to do an exercise, a mini tabletop exercise that's going to be done virtually. It's going to show you how quickly an event can unfold. And we had prepared this material prior to yesterday's shooting in Florida. So I just want you to understand that I want you to think about all of the things that could occur. But if anything does occur in your school at any time, and you need objective, critical decision support, we have a program called Crisis Stop that you can call and activate at any time. You have up to an hour of conversation with Firestorm, and we will help guide you objectively at no fee through whatever that crisis may be. And so it could be anything from financial irregularity to something like what occurred yesterday in Broward County. So we want to be there to assist you, and we want to be able to help you allow yourself time, because time in a crisis is so valuable. So let us help you make the decisions to move forward. And that's a benefit of the underwriting sponsorship by RenWeb. We also have our behavioral risk threat assessment program. You can learn more about that on our website. And any other questions you have, please don't hesitate to contact us at webinars@firestorm.com or info@firestorm.com. Our thanks to RenWeb and their continued support for our nation's schools and our partnership with them. Oh, also, I just wanted to mention that RenWeb's Power Conference is going to be in New Orleans from July 9th through 12th. We've been there many years for that, so we hope to see you there. When we first started this session, when we asked you to register for the session, we asked you a couple of questions. And the first question was, whose responsibility is it to monitor? Now, a lot of you said, monitor what? Huh? What are you talking about? And you wrote me and you told me that. But some of you said that monitoring is either the responsibility of marketing or human resources, one or the other, maybe security. Maybe the marketing folks will go over and tell security during lunch. But other than that, we don't know. About 50% of you said, I don't know, or it's someplace else. And we asked you if your organization does use any kind of an analytical tools, what do you use them for? Again, about 50% of you said, don't have a clue, don't know who I talk to, don't know what we use them for. But generally, the people that do use them for marketing or threat identification. What we want to do is bring the whole organization together, marketers, security folks, threat identification folks, staff, students, parents, others, and talk about how do we gather intelligence so that it becomes more than an obtuse data point, but rather so that it becomes actionable, so that it's a part of our programs and our plans, and that those programs and plans don't just tell us what to do, but they tell us how to do it. How do they become actionable? So today we're going to talk about predictive intelligence. When we started off the year last month, if you were on our webinar, Jim Satterfield introduced you to sort of what all the topics we were going to talk about this year. Today we're going to talk about the beginning, which is how do you know if there's even something going on? Next month we're going to talk about you found something's going on and now you need to communicate about it. So I want you to, as a last step for today, you're going to sign up for next month's webinar. We're going to continue this conversation. When we talk about predictive analytics, however, what we are talking about is the use of data, those data points, statistical algorithms, and machine learning to identify the likelihood of future outcomes based upon historical data. The way someone behaved in the past is a good indicator of how they're going to behave in the future. The challenge for schools is that we have disparate pieces of data all over the place, and they don't come together to help us create a clear picture, a pattern of behavior that may indicate future patterns of behavior. This idea originated in the marketing world. Actually, it bubbled up from the scientists. And the marketers said, look at all that data. We can use that to analyze what it is people really want and give it to them. We can give people custom products, services, and information based upon the news they read, the television shows they watch, the videos they see, the books they read, the social media accounts they use, the ads they visit, and on and on. So we took that same approach and we said, why can't we apply that to the protection of those in our care? And so we take data and customize it to your organization and the individuals within it. Public information, not private information. Publicly posted information that we aggregate and analyze. I want to tell you a little bit about just some things about Firestorm. Some of you have listened to us now for the past 4 or 5 years. Some of you may be new to RenWeb or to this series of webinars. Firestorm encompasses 6 key service groups. And we're very excited about 2 of them. If you receive our newsletter, you may have seen a press release go out from our parent company, Novume Solutions, that talks about 2 new companies that have joined the Firestorm family of companies. And one of those is a great company called BC Management, headed by a woman named Cheyenne Marling, who's now our Vice President of People and Analytical Solutions. And in our People Solutions, we're able to identify and provide top-level employees for you, along with project staffing to augment any client programs you may have ongoing. So we have some of the best security, business continuity, and risk and crisis management professionals in the world that our new company has worked with for the past 18 years. Additionally, we have our general crisis and risk solutions. We work with major insurance companies worldwide to develop programs and solutions. Our professional services solutions works hand in hand and performs assessments, develops plans, training, provide people and conduct exercises like we're doing today, only for 2 or 3 days. We have analytical solutions that come with our people solutions. We have the ability, because of this huge database of people, to compile extensive data for key benchmarking studies and reports. And we can highly personalize those for your organization. So if you want to mark yourself against other best-of-class schools in your category, that's something that can be done. And we do that for compensation studies, for disaster and event impact studies, and it's fascinating data. As a matter of fact, the 17th annual event impact study is open now, and you can find out more information at firestorm.com. And last, we come to the other 2 groups where I sort of live, and that's intelligence solutions, where we identify risks, threats, vulnerabilities, and behaviors of concern. And we marry that with security solutions. And that's another acquisition that we're very excited about. We are now working with a fantastic group of people that came out of Washington, D.C. because they were busy protecting presidents. We have former Secret Service personnel, one of which is named Jason Russell, and he is the Chief Security Officer now for Firestorm, and he brings along a team of former Secret Service agents, one of which did nothing but what we're talking about today, analyzing data for predictive intelligence. How wonderful is that? So we can provide presidential level security and oversight for your students, your teachers, your staff, and your entire organization. Our predictive intelligence services has really grown over the past few years. We have monitored significant school systems with public school systems with more than 25 schools. We currently have a long-term retained relationship with a school out of the country in a different language. We have organizations that are secular, very specific religious organizations who have needs for oversight that are different than a public school. And we understand and are able to put our support to these schools into the context of their culture, their point of view, their educational goals, and certainly their safety and security goals. We've done more than, there should be 1,000 monitoring engagements and crisis stop responses for businesses, schools, and camps. At any given time, we're handling 5 to 6 calls per day where someone says, we have a crisis, we have a need, we just need to talk to somebody and make sure we're on the right track. We need to get focused. We need to get our messaging down. We'd like you to review our messaging before we send it out. Help, CNN is knocking at my door. We've delivered more than 3,800 hours of training, both virtually and face-to-face. We can do something like we do today. We're going to do a little 20-minute exercise, and it's going to replicate what might happen in 20 minutes in your life. But we also do the same type of thing over a 2 or 3 day period. an actual tabletop exercise, which is much more robust. And we have protected more than 100,000 students covered by our geofence and keyword monitoring in our predictive analytics group. I bring these all up to you because I want to let you know the scope of services that are available to you from a best-in-class world provider. We combine our intelligence tools, one of which was named the 2017 Forrester Best in Class, with seasoned practitioners trained from the Secret Service. Where do you get that combination together? I don't know. And we use approaches that then identify what's being said on news, social, and traditional media. And it's not just Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram. We look much more deeply. We look at Reddit, 4chan, some of the darker places like 6chan on the web. And those are the kinds of places where someone like the shooter in yesterday's Broward County shooting go to test out and talk about their plans. Because if you go on one of those websites like 4chan or 6chan and say, I'm thinking about bringing a gun to a school campus, the people in that chat room and that discussion board will say, go for it. Pictures or it didn't happen. They'll talk about best ways to do it. That's what we listen to. We utilize threat assessment criteria to determine then the potential threats. And we create elevated alert protocol that gets integrated with your existing or developing security and crisis management solutions. So we support your internal program development, your risk profile, threat assessments, and your escalation protocols. Because something else that's unique to school organizations and educational organizations is you have a transient student body. Your threats change every semester or year or however you bring in new students. You constantly have new students coming in and out, new challenges. And we must build that into your profile. It's part of your unique profile, security profile. So in order for a comprehensive intelligence program to be effective, we have to understand you, your culture, your school culture, your student culture, your teacher culture, your community culture. We need to know that the way someone might speak about drugs in Florida is different than the way they speak about it in Montana. We might use different words in different parts of the country. Kids use different slang to mean different things in different parts of the country. We need to understand that and put it into context. And then we build your risk profile. Within that, we have that contextual analysis. So that if we are seeing two kids talk about a school shooting on Twitter, we understand and are able to look at their history quickly and put into context the fact that they are actually talking about, sadly, a school shooting scenario in a game like World of Warcraft or some first-person shooter game. We then create a threat alert workflow. We design with you who gets alerted in your organization, how and when. And is it always for this type of issue the same person, or do different issues get different people? If we see a post that somebody says they just lit a fire in the boys' bathroom in your basement and took a picture of it, do we alert the same person? If we see someone say, dang, I just had an accident in the parking lot, is that the same person? Those decisions should be made. We then observe and report back to you so that we can refine. We set a baseline and then refine it throughout the life of our relationship. Again, because we understand that this is an organic growing organization, and we want to make sure we understand your very specific custom needs and that you understand that. Now, in addition to different social media applications like Twitter and Facebook and all of those other kind of good things, we use a tool that allows us to cast a broad net and gather up all of the mentions of things that we hear. We call this insight, and it gives us insight into general conversations that are occurring that may mention your school name, your brand name, your football team, things that are unique to your organization, coupled with threat language. We design a workflow and a dashboard so it's easy for you to understand the data you're seeing. We're not going to throw 17 Excel spreadsheets of mentions at you. We're going to say you had 506 mentions. About 50% of them were negative in nature. This is what people were talking about at the time. And it had the potential to reach 4 million people. Or it had the potential to reach 12 people. We're going to give you data to put it in context so you can make real decisions based on real information. And if need be, specific to your type and organization, we can add some sourcing. Maybe there's a school review website for private schools that you get a lot of reviews on. We'll create an RSS feed and see if we can pull that data in. We'll look at Yelp and see if we can pull that data in. We'll look at Glassdoor and see if any teachers are complaining about the way they're treated at your school and pull that data in. If we can. We can't always pull every piece of data in, but we certainly try to get as large a world of data as possible for you. And then we create easy to view dashboards. And you can also leverage these tools for your marketing efforts and analyze data for development of your student body and recruiting. You can also use part of this tool to message out so that in a crisis, after you have created all of your message maps, the crisis, you modify those message maps to match the exact crisis. You call us, and when we say, we think it's time for a message to go out, do you have your message maps prepared? And you say yes, we can leverage this tool to go to 4 major social media sites. So it really helps you move forward in as effective a way as possible. We have another tool that you can use when we need to do a closer drill down on a person. You may have heard me mention before, a couple of years ago, we saw a student post that they were going to bring a gun to school. And it was an anonymous account. It had no definitive place or geolocation turned on. We had a very vague sort of a name to it, not anything specific at all. And what we were able to do is use something in this application called a social graph. And we were able to design a social graph on the person. And the person had about 1,600 followers and was following about that number. So we were able to look at that and build a social graph from it. And we said, don't show us any social accounts connected to this account that are famous celebrities. So get rid of Wiz Khalifa and Jay-Z and all those people. Get rid of Beyonce. Just show us what we deem to be real people. Then get rid of the sports accounts. And then get rid of the news accounts. And what it left us with was a core of about 262 real people. And then we said, tell us the most common location of those real people. And almost 80% of them were in a 3-mile radius of each other in a very specific location in Florida. We were able to pinpoint what school was in the middle of that radius, contacted the school, said, we don't know if this is real or not. We don't know who this person is exactly, but this is what we think their name is. And within about 20 minutes, this person posted that they had just gotten busted. Their locker had been opened, and they found their clip for their gun. And we did hear back from the school, and they did indeed find a gun and took necessary action. That had to happen for us in 15 minutes, because when we saw the post, it was not quite the beginning of the school day. So we recognized we had a very short period of time in order to find the information and alert the school before the school day started. That's power. Because we don't want to read about stories like yesterday. Instead, we want to read about stories where it says plot thwarted, students kept safe because of your actions and your preparedness. Through this application, I can look at a broad view. I can scan these images very quickly. I can see if there's any threats coming from these images, or I can drop a geofence around the location and see the actual tweets or Instagram messages as they're occurring, where they're occurring. Now, these are all grouped in a circle because this was a geofence we set up for a school district that was having trouble with violence at its Friday Night Lights school games, the football games. So they asked us if we could please watch on a particularly stressful championship evening to see if there was any violence occurring. And this is what it looks like when we do that. That's a real search. What we're going to do now is a real exercise. We're going to take about 20 minutes, and we're going to walk through a scenario, and I want you to think this through. I want you to think through it because it could happen to any of us at any time. We're not using a school violence example. We're going to use a different example, but I want you to think through what would you do in any situation, who would you notify? You may be a small organization. You may be a smaller private school where you are the it. You are the person. You may have a small team of 2 or 3 people. You may have a behavioral threat management team. You may have a larger organization. All of these people need to be involved at some point in time. And the larger your organization, the more confusing and complex it can be. So let's walk through that now. I want you to take your time, take some notes, and then let us know afterward, after you've thought it through, if there's any way you can improve and if there's any way we can help you. Think of yourself as any private school that you are. You're sitting there. It's today. Let's say it's instead of 2:10, we're going to say it's 2:28, and all of this is going to unfold in about 15 minutes. I want you to base your response upon whether you have any regular monitoring set up to assist you in maybe your marketing efforts, and also if you have any regular monitoring set up to assist you in identifying behaviors of concern. Because if you have a tool, this is going to be easier for you because you can use that tool to find out more information. If you don't have a tool, you're going to be doing a lot of wasted time manual searching, and I'll show you why. As we start, you are alerted by someone, somehow, maybe your own Twitter feed, to a post on Twitter with the hashtag #MeToo plus your school's name. The post is by someone that's unnamed. It's not a real name, doesn't have a real picture. All it says is #MeToo, the hashtag #MeToo, which is for persons, men or women, who have been sexually harassed or abused by a teacher at, and then they name your school. Your school in Florida, your school in Tennessee, your school in Texas. And they say, no one will help me. What do we know right now? We know we have potentially a victim of something. We don't know if they're a current student, past student. What we do know is that this has received 250 comments. That's what that little comment box is. We do know that it has been reshared 146 times. We do know that 112 people have favorited it. That's hard to say. Favorited and it together. That's all we know right now. We know it's on Twitter. It carries the Me Too hashtag. It mentions our school, and it's being shared and talked about a lot. As a matter of fact, numerous posts with your school's name suddenly start to surface. The reason I say if you have an application, this is helpful to you, is because the first thing many people will do at this point is say, well, I need to figure this out, and they will Google or on Twitter use the Twitter search feature or Facebook feature and say, let me look up that hashtag, me too. If you do that today, I think you'll probably get 62 million results. And that doesn't help you. Dumping useless data on top of unknown data is only going to create confusion and waste time. So what do we have to do? What is it exactly that you'll do next? Who are you going to inform? Now, I'd like you to say, I'm going to call Firestorm and ask them what I'm supposed to do, because we'll help you streamline these next steps. Because the next steps in monitoring are very important. We can quickly craft a stream that excludes certain words and focuses on the syntax, the way this person has created this post, other people interacting with the post. And by doing that, we may even be able to identify who the real person is who's posting this. Quite often, as we look back through someone's publicly posted social media, they will have posted an item, maybe their schedule for the year. That shows their classes and their teachers. That's data and information that can help us identify a person. Sometimes it even will show their name. And we can quickly scan that, again, using those applications we looked at, which give me a broad view of everything at one time. Additionally, we look at their social graph. And in that social graph that we discussed, someone may actually mention the person by name. They may say, oh, Susie, oh, Tom, I know how much this hurts you. We can then look at your student body and say, here's a Susie right here, here's a Tom right here. And we've narrowed down. Do we also have any way of knowing how many people have seen this message and who's discussing it? You know, I asked Jim Satterfield once, when I first started with Firestorm, who was our greatest competitor? And he said denial. And that was really profound to me, because while you and I are talking about what we're going to do about this message, there are other people who said, I'm going to ignore it. It's not real. I'm not going to worry about it. It'll go away. And those are famous last words. So by using the correct tool for the correct situation, what does that enable us to do? It enables us to make decisions that have a higher likelihood of being successful decisions. If you are asked to go through a maze blindfolded, or asked to go through a maze with someone who's been through the maze before, which are you going to choose? We've been through this maze. We've been through the crisis before for more than 15 years with thousands of schools, and we've seen all types of crises. You never want your first crisis to be your crisis manager's first crisis. So I can tell you that it's not for us. All right, next step. About 7 minutes have passed since you first saw that message. You've decided not to ignore it. You've decided it's probably something. You're not really quite sure what to do with it. And suddenly, you go over to your Facebook page and see that a parent has shared on his Facebook page and yours this message and is railing against the school for something that has nothing to do with this at all. But he just happens to be upset about something and has decided to take this opportunity to vent. Well, because he has put this on his Facebook page, a group of parents now has seen this and is starting a conversation about, oh my God, who's being abused at our school? Does the school know about this? Why haven't they told us? Why are we the last to know these things? What's wrong with the school? Who's the communications director? And they start posting on your Facebook account. And who manages your Facebook account? A volunteer. You have a part-time volunteer parent who usually posts very happy things. You've won an award. Your school's been recognized for academic excellence. Your football team won a game. And this person is upset about these terrible things people are saying, so they respond. They start engaging with the people that are posting on your Facebook page. And what happens then? We have a flame erupt. And somehow the president gets named in it. And somehow it becomes a political argument between two sides on your Facebook page that's supposed to be about education and students and nice things. And the person who manages your Facebook page gets so frustrated about everything that's going on that she shuts the Facebook page down. You can still see it, but you're not allowed to post on it. And nothing inflames an inflamed community more than when you tell them they can't keep flaming. And they take the party somewhere else where it gets bigger and worse. Not only that, but you don't know any of this is happening until you received a panic phone call from the person who just shut down the Facebook page, who is in tears, 3 parents who are participating in the discussion, one of them who is recording you on Facebook Live, whether you know it or not, and broadcasting your response, and the director of your religious services who calls and says, is something going on over there I need to know about? Because I have some people over here at the church office and they are not happy. Now what do? Tell me, how much control do you have right now? Do you have a team that's working with you? Can you delegate to somebody? You, go turn the Facebook page back on. Put a message out there that we have pre-prepared. You, go talk to our religious services director and let's get a plan of action. You, let's help figure out who this poor person is who is a victim. Every crisis is a human crisis. Let's think about that. Let's think about if we really have a problem here. Mandated first reporters, we need to get to the bottom of this. Is everybody ready to assist with this issue and move forward? Do you have communication or communication guidelines pre-prepared for each of these people that you're going to delegate to? Do you trust them? You cannot blame someone for making a mistake if you never taught them how to do it correctly. Because the buck stops with you. And how are we going to identify this victim and get them help? Or if not a victim, if it's a hoax, how are we going to resolve that? What if there's a deeper issue here that we really need to get to? Do we really want this to be the discussion on Facebook? Remember, once again, we can look at a screen like this very quickly. I can look at all the messages that are coming in to you, at you, or about a topic that's about you. And I can visually pinpoint very quickly something that we need to look in at more depth. But more important, we can provide you with specific information that you need to make critical decisions. In this next step escalation, if you thought things weren't bad enough, remember that guy who was mad at the school involved? He starts naming a teacher that he's mad at. Somehow that teacher's name gets wrapped up in the Me Too conversation. And you've got a teacher right now in your school teaching who doesn't even realize there are false accusations being lobbed at him or her. And people are saying, I've got pictures to prove it on Snapchat. Parents are outraged and organizing on Facebook to go to this teacher's home and demand answers. One parent in particular, and we know who, has decided to copy news organizations on all activity. At local news, at local news. Not only that, but somebody else in your organization has decided, well, if you're not going to do something, they are. And they just issued a school community-wide notification that no one is to discuss this issue or any other issues that emerge on social media. And the first thing that everybody does with that is forward it to the local news agency. And your phone rings, and it's that local news station saying, hey, we're going to air your story at 6. Care to comment? Have you been trained to comment? Are you going to comment? Are you going to hang up the phone? Most professionals are trained to make decisions based upon information, data, and policy. Very simple. In this, however, in any crisis, the information you get is generally wrong. The data is not available. How can you make a decision when you don't know what you're deciding upon? And policies to address this black swan don't exist. You have lost complete command and control. Your brand and reputation are under attack. Leadership, parents, others in the community, your mayor is calling you, everybody's engaged personally. The impacts are disproportionate to the event, and the events are escalating. And it's not just one event. There are 5 events now going on. Speed in your ability to make critical, clear, concise decisions, and good decisions, is quality. Actually, it is the survival of your organization. And right now, you're the center of media focus. Your intelligence network is going to become critical to the decisions you make. Firestorm is here to help you understand when you are in the guarded, elevated, imminent, or severe phase of your crisis. And just because we know you're in the guarded or elevated phase doesn't mean by knowing it we can stop it from going into imminent or severe. The chances we can stop it are better. But we have been there in all 4 phases. And we understand how to work through each in a way that does the least harm. You know, all of these tools, all the stuff we say is effective, and don't get me wrong, they're integral to your strategy. But in the end, the effectiveness of any tool is tied to the human beings charged with the use of the tool. You need to understand what you're going to monitor and why, and you need to know what triggers separate actions and have your team at the ready to take those actions. Document and train your team on the action steps, and then be ready to implement nimbly. That's a hard word to say, and now. So what next? Please download the documents that I attached to the handout section of GoToWebinar. If for any reason you can't do that, please email us at webinars@firestorm.com, and we'll make sure to get those to you. Then contact us, and we'll explain how we can do a self-guided assessment for you at no fee because of your attending a RenWeb session. And we'll also explain our Crisis Stop program. You can certainly reach me directly at kmasullo@firestorm.com. And then please register for next month's session where we'll talk about the communication now that must be made after this event has bubbled up. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter where you can see all kinds of really interesting information. And we have 3 really great interviews our CSO gave over the past 24 hours with Fox News and Wood TV and some others. This is what that handout looks like that you can download today. And last but not least, our thanks again to RenWeb. If you'd like a document like this for your organization or a session like this, again, you can contact us and we'll be happy to discuss that with you. And meanwhile, you can reach us at firestorm.com. or call our 1-800 number where Bill Baker is standing by. That will end our session for today. I so appreciate your taking the time to attend. Have a great day, and this will end our call for today. Thank you, and goodbye.
Thank you again, Karen.